Hello, I hope you can hear me. Good morning to one and all, and welcome to this webinar on data visualization expert by Nuclear Tech. Today we'll be discussing about how and why data visualization is an important part of the journey of data. And it's a bright Sunday morning, and I hope everyone is just woke up from their last night bash and just trying to cope up with the morning of Sunday. So let's just keep an eye on this important topic of data visualization. Now, just to start off, my name is Ketan, and I have 14 years of experience into all the different product cycles, software life cycles, data visualization, machine learning, advanced analytics, etc. So I've used a lot of tools in my entire career, starting from Excel, R, Python, SQL, MySQL, NoSQL, Power BI, Tableau, etc. So I have had that journey from extracting the data, that is the ETL process, and loading the data, and then doing visualizations and having different customers. So when I say customers, there are, or I would say consumers of your visualization, there are two aspects. One is an internal customer, it can be your sales team, and one is an external customer, it can be your client. So the thing is that internal customer can be, we can get off with them very easily, but if it's a client where you have an SLA of delivering the visualization on time, it has to be accurate and etc. It becomes very important. In recent years, I would say from 2000s, we have seen a rise in data visualization. Now, why is that? Why do we see a rise in the field of data visualization? Also in the fields of analytics and machine learning, but I'll just specifically talk about visualization. In the early 2000s, we had a tool which is Excel, which everyone uses, and it does not depend on whether you are working in a startup, working for a small firm, or working for a very large corporate. Excel was a tool to go for, and it was easily available, but it had lots of restrictions. Now, when the technology advanced, we saw beautiful products coming into the market. We saw Tableau, we saw Power BI. These are the two main products that I see for visualization. There may be many, but I would prefer to talk about these two because these two are the peak of data visualization products. Now, let me give you an example of what the data visualization lifecycle is so that we can talk about that. So here's a small snapshot of how the visualization occur. On the left, we have the raw data. So the raw data mostly are in the silos and they are spread across a lot of servers. It can be either so you have lots and lots of database servers. We'll be going through one of the demos of Power BI. I'll tell you what kind of different things can we attach. The most important part of visualization is getting the data. And when I say getting the data, it is not only about getting any data, it's about getting the right data. For any developer who is a Power BI developer, especially, the important task is how and where is that data? How can I get that data into my Power BI? And that is where he starts the first step. He starts looking and talking to all the software developers, starts in talking to the DBOs. We have database owners, we have the product owners, etc. So it is very important to identify this step of your visualization. Now, the raw data that we have here have lots and lots of different types as well. The most commonly used are CSV, Excel, we have some databases, and we also have some. So these are all the types of structured database that we have. There are also non-structured type, like let's say we have an image, we have a video, we have an audio. These are all under no structured language. That is why we call it as no SQL. So we have a database that can be either SQL or we have a data that can be no SQL. So it's very important to identify these and to make sure that you have got the right data type into your Power BI. which makes your visualization and your analysis insights very useful for the customers. Now let's look at the next part, that is the data analysis. So we have the network filtering, we have the feature extraction, we have similarity measuring. Now, what do we talk about this? So when we talk about network filtering, there are, if we are using, let's say, Power BI, and if I want to make sure that we have filtered out few data from, let's say, I have a customer database, I just need customer database of only people who are in India. I need to have that filter on. I need to have that query run properly. So I have to make sure that whenever I'm trying to get the analysis done or visualization done, I have that correct data. This is a most important part, feature extraction. With respect to a DBO, I'll give an example of what kind of DBOs do we have. We can have a customer, we can have a product database, we can have a transaction database, etc. So what kind of database do we require from that? What are the things which are important for that particular segment of your customers or your consumers? Similarity measuring. Here we are also looking at what kind of similarities the customers have, and then looking at different measuring techniques. Some of the simple one is an RFM, which will tell you which are the people who are spending a lot on your products on retail or online, and which are the ones who are not. When I talk about visual analysis, so once the data is in, you've done all the filtering, all the extraction, and you've got that right kind of mix for the visualization. Here is what we have. So we have a data overview, which tells you about the summarizing each and every aspects. So for example, if we have a sales data, we need to make sure what is the sale in that month? What is the sale in last week? How is the trend going? And in a simple way, what is the conversion? So these are the top metric or KPIs that I call, which the business users use. And for each and every department, they have something else. So we have to make sure that we have a data overview, timeline, and summary view. So when I talk about timeline, the first thing that comes to our mind is a trend analysis. So again, the same thing. If we are looking at the last 1 month data, what is the visualization? How is the trend going? Can we get that part? And then we have some insights and some recommendations, or we can have alter timeline view. So here again, so let me give you an example. If I have 1 month, if I have each and every day, and I want to look at the trend, this is how I will see. But what if I just want to see it for weekdays and weekends? So I'll just have Sunday to Saturday, and for each day I can compare which days are doing normally good for me. Now the last part is the analytic task. You have a macro level, a meso level, and a micro level. So these are at what level do you want to do your analysis on? Is it going to be only at the top overview? Do you want to go deep down, or do you want to just keep it in between, which is not even that macro and not that micro as well? So in this, we're just trying to say how the data visualization works and how can we get the data. Now, let me just give you an example of a DBO, how it could look like. So I'll just show you an Excel, which has very sample DBO files of product, a transaction, and a customer. So here is one of the Excel file. So here we can see I have a product DBO. So this is how it is actually saved in all these large companies. You can name it like Flipkart, you can name it Amazon, all the other big online databases or even retailers. They will have a product DBO, which is called as a database. It can be in a different form as well. Now here we have the product ID and what are the product names. Okay, I think I'll just say product name. So we have the product ID and the product name. So rather than me writing these, which is visible to all the other people outside of your firm, it is better to use a product ID. That is the reason why we have a product DBO. And these are the main reasons why we make sure that whenever we have a product DBO, we do not use the exact name, we use the product ID. And we have to refer to this database lots and lots of time. The second example is a customer DBO. Again, we have a customer name and we have a customer country here. In this sense, with this example, we can also have a customer ID. So there are different ways in which I can have a customer database. So this is just one example. You can have the gender, you can have a gender here. You can have other attributes of that customer, gender, how many loans he has, etc., etc., if need be. The last is the transaction DBO. You will see in the transaction DBO, I have the customer, what product he's bought, what is the channel, and how many units and date and the standard cost. So you'll see that this is a transactional DBO where I am getting the customer name, I'm having the customer country, I'm having the product sold. This is what will I have in a transaction database. If you look at this carefully and this one, you'll find that I do not have the product name written. I just have the product sold item written with respect to its product ID and obviously the sales channel. It's important for me to identify which of my sales channel are doing good and how many units I have sold for them. So in this Excel, I've just given you a small gist of what a product DBO might look like, a customer database or a transaction database. So in this, we have all the products, customers, transactions, invoices, and the other parts of other retail things that you have. For example, if you can even have it for a vendor, you can have a vendor DBO as well, which will identify from where are you sourcing your products. So with respect to this, I just want to make sure that you're able to see the screen first. And if you have queries, you can type it down in the comment section. We'll try to answer that. So here we've seen first the cycle of how the data visualization works. The next is what kind of database we have. We have a demo data, and I'll be running this. And the most important question, that is, why Power BI and why Tableau? This is the most important question any organization can have. Tableau or Power BI, why? I'll give you my personal choice. Obviously, you may have different preferences, which is fine for me. And why is this field going to be doing great in years to come? Whenever we talk about data visualization, we have to keep in mind the first and the most important thing is the target audience. Who are going to be who are the people who will be consuming your visualization data, the PDF, or if it's in cloud, what are they going to be doing? So who are your customers for that particular visualization? As I said earlier, we have, if I'm in a bigger organization like a retail, and I can have customers like, let's say, my sales channel, my salespeople. Now, when I have salespeople as one of my customers, I have to make sure that I tell them about how many sales are happening in previous day, last week, last month, which products are being sold a lot. These are the questions that we need to answer for them. And keep in mind, these are the people who need these answers. They do not need what kind of algorithms we are using. They do not care. They just need to understand what is happening. Where is my product going? Which are the channels they are going in through? So it's very important that our target audience, if it's a sales team, we have to give them these answers. With respect to that, we can give them the insights. We can have a talk to their director, telling what is their strategy they're going with. If we have, let's say, if we have a retail discount going on, and they think the assumption is that it's going to go high, but the data does not say that. This gives them a very good way of identifying that, okay, we should be going with something else. So these are the insights that you as a developer can talk to your team and then probably transact that details to the other team. Let's say another example. Let's look at marketing channel. Now, when we have the marketing team with us, we have to tell them that which of the marketing channels are giving them the revenue. If it is an ad, which banners have the most impressions, which banners have most clicks, which are the banners that people click on and they go on and buy it. So which are the banners that are giving them a maximum ROI? So with respect to marketing channel, if you look at the KPIs that I talked about, the first one was with respect to sales that are happening. The second one was with respect to banners, which social media ads are working for them. All these questions are answered, and keep in mind, as your target audience changes, the visualization changes as well. So it's very crucial. to get that your data visualization consumers are this, and this is what is happening across the globe or at the corporate level. If you are doing, let's say if I'm a machine learning engineer, as a machine learning engineer, you have to make sure that you are getting the data right, you're doing some kind of algorithm work, and you are deploying it to the production. And after that, what is the thing that happens? Is that algorithm, is that machine learning code working for you or not? The final thing is a business take. The last thing is that, is my machine learning giving me a rise of 50%, 15% of revenue increase, 50% of conversions? These are the most crucial parts. And how do we get this? At a corporate level or at any level, at any businesses, it's only these things that will matter. What are you doing? What is the one that is giving you that effect? It's very important to understand that data analysts, and these are the things that are mostly going to be working on, is the past data. And they normally do not have a data overview. Visualization is the one that gives you that thing in your plate, to make sure you're directly talking to your stakeholders, getting some information from them, trying to talk to them. And when you directly interact with the stakeholders, you know what is going in their mind. There has been a lot of mismatch that I've seen, that the IT people and the marketing people are never in sync. The IT people and the sales people are never in sync. This is because there is no interaction. And visualization is one kind of a link to them, so that there is a good link, a good talking terms that are happening, and a good way of communication. Now let's now, with respect to Power BI and Tableau, why I personally prefer Power BI is, first, as an organization, it's cheaper. It's cheaper than Tableau, and it's a Microsoft product. So if you look at how many organizations have what kind of databases, you'll see that SQL Server is the one which is being still used across the globe, and that's one of the prime things that the data warehousing people use. So SQL Server is one, and now there are different. Now what Power BI has done is, it has opened its APIs to the other databases as well. We'll be just looking at that, and how we can include all of them into it. Tableau, on the other hand, how do I look at Tableau as? Tableau is very, very, very good for people who are non-IT, who are just getting into data visualization. But as soon as they get ahead, or they are reach that intermediate level from beginners, that is where the problem will start, because now they have to answer a lot of other questions that a machine learning thing can do. And what Power BI has is that they have that beautiful API that they have integrated. I'll be talking about these as well. So now I'll be looking at Power BI. Okay, so this is the Power BI, and I'll be just telling you about what all things do we have on the screen. So here we have, on the home section, we have the get data. How can we get the SQL, etc. on this? If you look at the get data part, you'll see I have the SQL Server, I have other ODBC database, and if I just click on more, I think, yeah, it's loading. Just give it some time. So we have this beautiful thing that Power BI does, is that even Tableau does, is that connection to all the other databases, which is definitely given by both of them. So we have the direct SQL Power BI data sets that we have, and the recent sources. Now we look at inserting. So here is, this is the one that I've opened now. All the other sources, you will see the databases that it can connect to. It's amazing. And it can also connect to, if there is a web analytics tool, like let's say Adobe. So it can connect to online databases like Adobe. Just let me give it a try again. And it can also connect to, so okay, here we have online services. So you'll see we have Adobe Data Analytics, we have Google Analytics. We have, this is important, LinkedIn Sales Navigator. This is important when we are having LinkedIn as a prime channel for getting new businesses. You have PlanView. These are all the databases that is used by corporates. Twilio is a very important tool as well for texting. So you can see the range of data sets that it can connect to, the files that it can connect. These are the basic files I was talking about. If I look at the server, you will see at the top SQL Server database. Very important. You have the IBM. So these are all the other databases that you can obviously connect to. The other thing that I like about this is that you have these new tools coming up, And so let me just give you an example. We have the visualization in the field. Let me enter some Excel file, and here we had the same file, and I'll be just, you'll see that how easily it is to import an Excel file. I've just clicked on that. I'm sure that there are many people who are already looking at these things online via YouTube, and there are other things as well. Now you can see I've connected to the Excel file, and we have the DBO that we were talking about. In that, I can go ahead with transaction for now. It will give you a data preview, and just load that. So once it's loading, you'll see that simple data creation is running, and the data will be loaded. As the data will be loaded, you'll be able to see all the things here. And let's look at what has happened. So I've just loaded the database, and you'll see that country, customer name, date sold. You'll see it has already identified it as a date, the product sold, sales channel, standard cost, and unit sold. Can you see this sign over here? Some sign. This identifies that it has taken it as a number. So this is a visualization where every magic happens. If I look at this tab, this is where the data is stored. You'll see the data. You'll have the customer name, customer country. It's very easy at first, but keep in mind this becomes difficult when you're trying to get those intricate details. Power query, when we are trying to connect 2 3 databases, and this is where other things happens. Like, so if I have a source, I can get 2 and 3. This is just the basic one. If I am using a database, I would have 15 to 16 such DBOs where I'm connecting each to one another, and that is where the problem starts, where you have to identify. So initially getting this is easy. So I'm not saying it, but once you go to that next step, when the visualization takes part, when you have multiple servers or multiple databases coming in, it becomes difficult. Now, here we have a beautiful visualization tab in between. So let's just do the basic of all. Let's just look at sales channel, and let me just look at pie chart. Let's do this. Let's do a donut chart. I just clicked on this, and you will see this has come up. I'm just clicking on sales channel, which is your legend, and let me just look at units sold, just to identify which. So this is a basic thing where I can identify the units sold by sales channel, and I can see the retail is doing a good job. It's around 44%. I have 44.91 for online, and the direct is the least. Now, I don't like this units sold by sales channel. So I'll just come here, and you have all these other tools where you can just click on title. This is what I don't like. So just say sales channel. So these are the basic things that we do. But this is not a big deal. Getting the best of this is just like one database that you have, and you just imported that part and just starting to do some visualizations. We can start doing one more. If let's say I have a trend, let's look at this. Let's put in the date. Let's put in the. So now if I put in date, you will see these things. Depend on what you want, just remove that part, and then just put in, let's say, standard cost. And let's put in the secondary values. Sorry, the values of standard cost. So you'll have this. So I have each day, I have a simple trend analysis happening. And the another good part of Power BI is that I want to make sure that my real estate of visualization is being looked upon properly. All the products of Power BI, especially Microsoft, will give you. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to hover this and keep it in such a place. This is the, you'll see that beautiful lines that are coming up. These are the indicators that will help you to identify. You can just go on the top, and you'll see that you have touched the above chart. Let's drop it. I want to make sure that these two have, you'll see that this is much less, this is much high. Let's try and get this thing done. Wow, easy peasy initially. And then we have the transformation, and then we have the queries as well. So we have the Power Query, which is again a very important part. So I can do an incremental refresh and all these other parts of visualization where we are talking about how do we connect Power BI, how do we do visualization. The good part about visualization is that it's uh it's easy at start, and then at the end when when you want to learn a lot of things, it gets slightly difficult because there are small things which you will not be able to understand. With Power Query you can get this thing done definitely in, and there are a lot of other formulas that can be used. Because what happens is, when we are, suppose I'm just trying to get a data. Let's say I want to get an SQL server. I do not have it, so it will just open up and it will give me a direct query. So I'm trying to put in a query. This is where most of your database requirements are. What kind of query it is, you can just put it down here and you'll be able to import. Now what happens is I have to create some new variables, I have to create some new measures, I have to do more visualization, I have to do some data transformation. So these things will require some of the Power Query, which will help you identify these things. Now, with respect to this, so we just have created two basic charts. Let's do a simple chart table as well to identify the customers. Okay, let me just come out of this first. Okay, let me click on this, open up a new thing. Okay, so you can look at that. I'm trying to get this. Let me add the customer country. Let's do a map just for making it fun. Okay, so I have the map. Let me just add customer country. Normally it identifies itself, and you'll see that it has identified, and these are the areas. And let's just put in the tooltips. As you can see, legend, latitude, etc. You can just put something else. So we'll have the tooltip on how many units are sold in each section. So these are the basic things. The most important part is formatting, getting this visualization up front in such a way that your customers like it. So all those nitty gritties part are where the important part is. This is the basic part. It's easy. You can see how easy I could get the Excel file in this. Then the next part is how do we get a query? How do we have different databases? How do we connect them? And what are the ways in which you can connect them? So we have the primary key. And so we have to understand what primary key is, what secondary key is, how do we merge them. So these are the things that will be making sure that we teach you during our course. And so now I'll just talk about, so this was just a webinar, a demo on what data visualization is. We also have a Tableau, and we'll be giving you some gist of Tableau as well, so that you are well versed with two of the main data visualization tools that we have, Power BI and Tableau. And we'll be also be teaching you the most important part and the most used databases, that is SQL. We'll be using the MySQL that we have, and we'll be querying on that. How do we connect it? All these things in our courses. So I'll just go through our course. So we have this PDF. If it is not shared, I'll make sure that it is shared with you guys. Okay. Now, being in this field for a long time, I know what the problems are, what at every stage what you'll be having. With respect to that, we have designed this course in such a way that from the start you are well aware of all the nitty gritties. Okay, so the first thing is, it's about how do we get this. So we have Tableau, we have the SQL database, and the Power BI. These are the three things that we'll be doing, and we are official partners of Microsoft. You can see the ID, you can cross verify it if you need be, and these are the things that we'll be helping you out with. With Power BI, we have a 13-hour entire section. Is Microsoft Excel Pro is something that we'll be teaching you, because Excel is the first basic step to make sure that you've understood. So we will have you covered there as well. We have a good 10 hours of SQL database. This is going to be really important, because querying them, making sure that you have the right database is very important. We'll be also teaching you some advanced techniques in Power BI. We will in 10 hours. So Tableau is an easy tool. We'll be giving you 10 hours of that with all the formulas that you require. We'll be assisting with your LinkedIn profiling as well. Keep in mind, these are the tools that are used in industry right now. So they are all relevant to what you'll be teaching. And we'll be making sure that we give you the best of the materials and best of the databases. Now, let's look at from overview if you want. So if you can get a PDF, you'll see what all things we're going to be doing. We will be having a capstone project as well for each and everything. We'll be having a project for all your Power BIs, and we'll be making sure we'll assist you with those, trying to make sure that you are up to speed with these things. And if you look at SQL, you will have a lots to do. So we'll be covering all these things for you, and we will be having a project for all of them, so that you guys are industry ready, to make sure you are going to be answering all the queries that you have when you are going for an interview. What are the problems that can have? How do we make sure that there are different databases that you can join? What are the primary keys? What are the secondary keys? And if you have any questions, you can definitely get back to us. Here what we are trying to do is, data visualization is going to be the next big thing, because keep in mind that if you look at what we did as Microsoft Power BI, it was very simple. We just connected an Excel. We similarly will connect a database, provided we have necessary credentials for that. And these are the ways that we can connect. One, two, you'll see that visualization was easy, right? It was easy to get these things. Now, to make sure to apply filters, to make sure we do transformation, we do a good kind of load, we do and publish on a specific cloud, not only Power BI cloud. We can embed Power BI in your personal applications as well using iframe. So that is not our job, that is the developer's job. They can put those visualizations into their personal or into their company websites, which are open to the public. And to make sure that these things are all covered, we have to make sure that we are well ready for those queries. And how do we get past those questions that are thrown to us? So if you guys have any queries, please put it on, I would say, on the chat. I'll just wait for a few moments. If you have questions. I'll stop sharing for now, just to make sure to incorporate all the other things. Okay, good. I have good questions over here. So let me just browse through them slowly. I may not be able to answer all of them. Okay. So, okay.